Boom, boom. You wishing some winter? You looking forward to some winter weather?
Yeah, it's
Got
gonna
a
get
little,
real chilly here in East Texas. It's gonna get down to 65 at night.
Yeah. Well, the high today here is only 86. And
Almost not bad.
no, and the humidity's down to like 86 or 87%.
70 is where I'm at. 70 is good temperature for me. 70, 75. Right in there. I even like it like a little bit cooler. I even like a good 65 with a little nip in the air. That's good to me. But anything else is starting. I just run hot as a person. I did tell Lauren it is nice that we moved to East Texas because it's not weird that I only have one pair of jeans that I wear on Sunday mornings. Literally everything else in my wardrobe is shorts. Shorts and chacos. Somebody's like, are these your certain shoes? And I was like, these are my only shoes because I wear them when I play Frisbee golf, and I wear them when I do yard work, and I wear them if I have to have shoes on. But other than that, I'm wearing chacos. The only reason I wear shoes while I play Frisbee golf is because of fire ants.
Oh, they're the worst, dude.
And I have stepped in, I want to say 4 or 5 fire ant piles now, and they are just annoying. And they itch a little bit, but they're just annoying. They just hurt. But I don't know. That's just me. I killed a huge fire ant pile in my front lawn yesterday. It was massive. Millions. You get this stuff called biffin.
Yeah.
Wipes them out, man.
So, I've got a question for you. You didn't see your, you didn't get a notification on our live on Facebook, did you? Oh,
probably because I don't have Facebook on my phone. And it's not on my hotbar anymore.
no, it finally popped up. Like initially, it wasn't showing that it was connected, but it did.
Please review the changes we've made to your page's experience.
I feel like they're always changing something about the interface and how like sharing and stuff works. It's crazy.
Right.
Yep, fire ants are the worst. We've got them here too, and I step in a fire ant mound almost every time we mow.
Yeah. It's funny, our last video was muted as well. It might be the intro video, I guess. Intro
It
music?
says it's muted in certain countries with the meta rights.
Well, I don't think Behind the Beards is internationally viewed, so.
Well, I know I have people in Mexico and people in Honduras that watch.
All right. I guess it is.
And on the off chance that my daughter is watching in Vienna.
Is your son watching Japan?
Well, it's the middle of the night, so he may watch later. So
They have a baby?
hours.
Aren't they up?
Yeah, right. What is it right now? 2 a.m. over there, I believe. So, yeah, you're probably up.
I do not miss those days.
No.
I keep having a dream that we get a puppy. It's horrible.
Heather wants another dog so bad, and I'm like, babe, like, no. No,
Just
like
no.
right now we can like drop everything and go. We don't have to worry about boarding. I mean, we do sometimes. We have this little devil dog rat, but like no, I'm out.
Till we're all growing a beard. A man's face should never be bare. We just want some facial hair. We're anticipating, yeah, everyone's waiting for a beard.
Well, hey, good morning, everybody. This is Behind the Beards.
Behind the
And here
Beards.
we pull the curtain back, take a look behind the scenes, and reveal the things that go on the hearts and minds of your church and ministry leaders. This season, and we're making a little bit of a shift. But we're looking at new ways to prepare ourselves and our people, just for the Christian life in general. And hope it is a good one. I'm Joshua Fowler, a preaching minister in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And my brother on the other side of the screen, Aaron Partlow, is a
Yo,
youth
yo.
minister in Longview, Texas.
Yo, yo, like I'm cool. Like, give me a break.
Yo, yo. I need to come up with some like, well, hello, kind of a
Right? If anything, I'm not cool. That's just all there's to it.
I am many things.
But cool will not be one of them.
That's all right. That's all right. Man, how's your morning going? Things going well today?
My morning is good. It's always interesting in the Partlow household. You can always bet on a couple things. You can always bet at 7:30 on the dot, Sam will wake up, will run into our bedroom, crawl over mom or whoever, and crawl in between us and go back to sleep. 7:30 on the dot. And then my alarm usually goes off at 8. He'll usually sleep till 8:30, but he'll always do that. When he re-wakes up, if Lauren's at work, you can always bet on him crying and throwing a little fit because mom went to work and he doesn't understand why she has to or why she goes to work. So we always have to have that conversation about why mama goes to work. But then I watched, and let's see, did I watch it? I did. I watched it live. I pulled it on my laptop. I watched this cool podcast right over my shoulder over here, called what is it? Ninjas Are Butterflies. I couldn't remember if it was butterflies or ninjas or butterflies. But it's a comedy podcast put out by the guys at Sunday Cool. If you like their humor, it's funny. If you don't like their humor, you will not find it funny at all. But I've enjoyed it. It's one of those for me. It's like it's a chuckle kind of a thing. And so while I'm doing dishes or while I'm doing other things, it's a light comedy show. So I found it fun. They did dupe me though. Their first episode title is like I was like, oh, is this gonna be like theological? Am I gonna have some problems with my boys over at Sunday Cool? And then you get the feel for the show like almost immediately. So it's pretty funny. It's pretty good. Check them out if you want.
Yeah, I will. I'm always looking for something, and there's so much like heaviness. Whether it's church work or news or all this other stuff that finding those moments of. It's one of the reasons I watch The Office on repeat.
Right?
It is absolutely ridiculous, unrealistic, but it's just I don't have to think about it. I sit down and I laugh, and it's like okay.
That's the reason why I play some video games. People are like, why do you play video games? You're 34. Come on, Aaron. I'm like, because it feels like everything else I deal with all the time is so heavy that it's nice to jump into a video game and just do stuff that I can just turn my brain off. Or that I could do mindless stuff that allows me to do something with my hands while I focus on something else. It's just sometimes you just need something lighter. Just need something light.
Yeah, we should game together, but I have a feeling you and I play very different kinds of video games.
Yeah, I don't play chess online or.
I don't play chess online either. I play Madden and MLB The Show.
That is true. I've never been a sports gamer.
Yeah.
I've just never been a sports gamer. But you can play Destiny too, and it's known for having old people play.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like dad
Wait.
gamers are
Hold on a
us.
second. What do you mean, old people?
Well,
Not
at
old.
34, I'm considered old in the gamer world, so that's what I meant. Like it's dad central, and it's cross-platform.
That's good. You know, my
We've
my
lost all of our
boys.
viewers by this conversation, by the way.
Um, oh, yeah.
They're all gone.
That's okay. They'll catch it later, I'm sure.
That's right.
My boys try to get me into video gaming with some of their stuff, but I don't process things the way that they did as far as the gaming goes. I do the same thing even when like my wife plays like board games. She loves playing like Speed and Nerds and all of these things that like are just
Oh yeah.
see it, snap it so fast that I'm like, no, I need the kind of thing I can sit down, I can think about, like strategic kind of stuff. And if I have to do like multiple things, like one with my right hand, with my left hand, and process it all, like I'll just be the guy that everybody gets out constantly. So, but alas, we need those things, right? We need those things that kind of
We need those light things, you know.
take our minds off of what's going on.
Sometimes it's frisbee golf. Sometimes it's Destiny 2.
Oh yeah, frisbee golf. Played any good courses lately?
I have not played since vacation.
I haven't either. Of course, at
sad.
first I had an excuse because I, blazed my hand.
It's true.
But
Boiled your hand.
a free exfoliation. I don't recommend using your radiator for an exfoliation.
That's right.
That's
yeah.
not the way to go.
It's not good.
But it's good to get out. We got a new gym membership. It's a new to us gym, but apparently this gym's been here in our little town since the mid '90s. I hadn't even seen the place until Heather took me out there. So I've been going to spin class. I'm going to tell you something. Spin class kicks my rear end.
It'll do
I've
it.
never sweat
do
so
it.
much in my life. And there's this lady. I mean, she's probably 60, 65 years old, and she's leading this thing. It's like, if she can keep up, I can keep up. Wrong.
Riding laps around you.
Oh man, but it's been good. Going to talk a little bit about marketing today, branding, and the kind of things that we go through. I know it's so hard. This has kind of been a conversation that's been on our plate here just in the last few weeks. Our campus ministries, it was running before COVID, and then after COVID came around, they had so many issues regarding, what you could and couldn't do, and where you could go, and how many people you could have. So it got really difficult to have things on campus with our kids, and so many of our kids were off campus doing virtual school.
Sure.
This is the first school year we really have them back in, and so we've got about 20 students. And so in trying to get like going on campus, it's like, so how do you kind of walk this line between, the world of marketing and the world of church? Because
Right.
you want to be recognized, but at the same time, we can sometimes get so wrapped up in
Guilty.
that logo that we put out there, or the flyer that we send out, or the signs that we make, that we forget kind of what we're kind of here to do. So we'll talk a bit about marketing and the importance of it. How important is marketing, and what role does it play in culture?
Yeah.
How important is it? I'm going to ask you. You tell me.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think I think there's one thing that's like really interesting when you talk about marketing, when you think about your congregation, you think about your church, is like people have to know if you're running the old school, I shouldn't say old school model, but if you're just hoping like your evangelism is going to happen by people walking in the door, nobody's going to walk in the door unless they know you're there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. I mean, we're not going to open up the whole can and talk about this whole idea like we should be doing more marketing than or more evangelizing than just having people walk in the door. But at the end of the day, like if people aren't walking in the door because they don't actually know your church's name, it was sad to me. It was sad to me when you work at a church and you say, "Oh, I go to blank Church of Christ," and they're like, "Where's that at?" And then, your church is like, "Well, we're celebrating our 100th year in the community." And I'm like, well, we should probably be better at being a part of the community. And so, marketing kind of helps that. Like if people actually know where your congregation's at, it's good to know if your church has a good name in the community or a bad name in the community, and things like that. And so I think, marketing has that place where at least people know where you're at, and know where you are. And it's a good reminder. And I think sometimes that's good for getting people to come back to is that reminder sometimes.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to get wrapped up in, like, this is what I've seen. I've seen so many people get so focused on, like, branding when it comes to marketing. Like, if we put up a billboard and put your logo on there, is somebody in the city going to know what that's about? And we want to create this image where your brand is consistent with all of these things. And so we get this big, wide view. And, that's what we expect from the law office. Like when I see in Baton Rouge, when I see Gordon McKernan, that's the lawyer that stands on the truck, and he has all these, he's all over the commercials, he's on TV, he's a successful lawyer in town, accident lawyer. But when they see him, they see his building, they know exactly what he is. And we kind of, it's easy to get into this rhythm and routine of thinking that our church should be the same way. That if someone anywhere in our city sees our logo, they should know exactly what we're doing and who we are and where we're located.
Yeah.
And, would it be cool if that was the case? Sure, it would.
Sure.
But for most of us, the kind of marketing we should be involved in is the community that our church is in is called Broadmoor. And every year at Christmas time, the community of Broadmoor has a Christmas parade. Are we in that Christmas parade as a part of that community? Do we go to the school that's right across the street from us, and do the teachers and faculty and staff and students and families that are in that school know, when they say Goodwood Church of Christ, say, oh yeah, that's the church right across the street from our school. They do this and they do this and they do this. Do the neighbors around our church, how do they see us? What is their perspective? If someone says Goodwood Church of Christ, like, oh yeah, man, those guys are right there in our community, and they help our community so much. They do this. They have a trunk or treat, and they invite us all. Yeah,
marketing is better when you have a direct impact on your community that's right around you. You know what I mean?
I think that's the important aspect of it is, is it important? Yes, it is important. But I think we need to get out of this like meta kind of view and bring it back into this micro view of how are we impacting those people that share borders with our churches,
Right.
And it's, I don't know about you, but the church is not really a community church here in Baton Rouge. There's people that drive 45, 50, 60 minutes and some more just to get to church because they don't find, as far as churches of Christ anyway, they don't find those in their community. And so they have to travel that far to get to a church. And it creates just a new series of challenges,
That's an interesting conversation to have sometime about commuter and community churches. What's a better model? What's there? That would be a really fun thing to sit down and dissect and pull apart and look at those differences and the effectiveness of a community or a commuter church. And are most of our churches commuter churches or community churches now?
Yeah. I wrestle with the other aspect of like marketing and branding because of the cost. And when you go to try, like, there's several groups that I got into during COVID. One of them was like churches that live stream. One of them was, church creatives, people that are creating things.
Right.
And the other one was for something else. I don't remember, but there are all these sources. And I'm getting started. We're a church of 170 people.
Right.
And I'm trying to figure out how to get this live streaming stuff going. And this guy's like, well, you need to go get this and this and this and this and this. I'm like, bro, that's $50,000.
Right. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to make this run on $500.
Yeah. Get out of here.
What
are you talking about?
And so when you like, I like to create things on myself, but I'm not a professional. And so you put something out there, and what you get is, you need to hire a professional. It's like, yeah, but a professional, again, it's 10 grand to hire a professional to create a logo for you. And it's so structured around business and marketing. I'm like, do you know what I could do with that kind of money?
Right.
And am I being a good steward by spending that kind of capital in that area?
That's what we're here to talk about today, right?
Yeah.
In
so
some
much of it
instances, maybe it is a good idea, but in some cases, maybe it's not. What happens if you create a logo, and everyone hates it? I think I worked at a congregation, and we spent a lot of time and effort. We hired a person to help us do a logo. We had a discount rate or whatever, but we hired a person to do a logo. And I think most people at the end of the day were like, I understand why you chose those colors. I get the research that you're saying. Like orange means this and greens means this, but I don't like orange and green. So I don't like this logo. But it took a little bit. I think it took a little bit to grow on people. And I was one of them where I was like, okay, this is it. And then towards the end, I was like, this is not a bad logo. Like, I do like it. It is nice.
Well, I mean, do I like it? Was I given a voice in the process?
Who do you give a voice to?
Yeah, it becomes a whole nother conversation, right?
Right.
I mean,
how many
you put
fingers
it out
do
to
you
the
allow
whole church?
in the
you
pie?
take a vote, and what happens if the vote is 50-50, right?
Yeah, right.
Like you put this out there, and it's
Split.
like half people love it, half people hate it, and it's like, oh man.
Well, then you can have your commuter church and a community church. Just
that's right. But it's just such a challenge. And I mean, is a logo important? Yes, I think a logo is important.
Shouldn't our logo be Jesus?
Well, unless you are one of these like iconography people who doesn't believe that Jesus' image should ever be anywhere, and then no, it shouldn't be Jesus.
That's right.
Like some people don't even like having the cross as a part of the logo. But I look at some of these like logos that are brought up, and you're asking, like, I thought about playing this game on the podcast of I was going to give you pictures and ask you, company or church, what's the logo? Is this
why didn't we play that? That would have been awesome.
Well, we didn't play it because I didn't want to look like I was bashing church logos or anything like that. So and I think it's too easy to devolve into, because they have a purpose for what they're doing. They have an idea, and I don't want to.
All right. We get it, Josh. You're good. You're good.
Do people know we're a church? At least, like they may not know who we are or what we do or anything, but if they look at what we're putting out there, do they at least know that we are church oriented?
Right.
Or could it just be some technology company that's out there as well?
You ready for the Partlow curveball?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you ready for it?
Yeah, as long as it's not an ephus, you're good. You don't know what an ephus is, do you?
I will in just a second once I Google it. It makes me so the one thing I've always wondered is it seems like there's always like a stigma, especially among the churches of Christ, like if a church drops the Church of Christ out of their name. And I'm always been curious to like just have a conversation about it. Like what, is that, do we have that so people know that we are a church? Do we have that so people know that we're a Church of Christ? Do people know that because we're the church after Christ, or do they know it because we're a Church of Christ? You know what I mean? And so I've always been kind of curious about that aspect of, because in a sense, like that's marketing and that's branding. We're the Church of Christ brand. You know what you're gonna get if you go to a Church of Christ, but not really. Like I used to think that, but I think that's true for like a lot of cases, but not all cases. Like, will you know exactly what you're gonna get when you walk into a COC?
Well, and it's one of the issues with not being I'm gonna say an official denomination.
Yeah.
You don't have this governing body that makes sure everyone that wears the name Church of Christ is the same.
Right.
Because, I mean, if you walk into a First Baptist church, you know what you're getting. Because they have a body that tells them this is who we are. And if you don't like it, then you can't wear the name. The same thing with Pentecostal or Methodist or Catholic. Any of these things that bear that name, you know, because they have someone over them saying, this is who we are. And by taking our name, this is what you agree to. And so
Right.
you can go across the nation and you can find it. I think we're kind of moving because of the autonomous nature of individual congregations. You know, if you're going to go to Church of Christ in another city, you need to show up early and kind of look around because you don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
There's people that are kind of across the board. And I wrestle with, like, at least when I see something and it has that behind it, I might not know exactly what to expect, and it may be different than my expectation.
Right.
But I know where I'm starting from, at least. Right? And I wrestle with, you know, kind of the new way of going into churches is, hey, we're going to go to the Vine. What the heck is the Vine? We're going to go to the Gathering. There's one of those here in town. It's the Gathering. Like what
Is that a
what
church
is
or is that a brewery?
yeah, right. Or is it a restaurant? I don't know.
Right.
Maybe it's all of the above. You know, so it's something that just gives me an idea of who you are. You know, we're the Goodwood Church of Christ. Why is it the Goodwood Church of Christ? Because we're on Goodwood Boulevard. So,
Do you think a church should rebrand their name if you move off of the street that you were originally on?
if it's named after a street, yes, I think so.
Really? Interesting. I was curious about that. We used to be, Pine Tree used to be on Pine Tree Road, which is literally one street over. But when they built this new building back in the whenevers, they kept the name Pine Tree. And I was always like, well, that's interesting. Why didn't they switch to the Dundee Church of Christ? Because we're off Dundee Road now, not Pine Tree.
Because then you'd feel like you'd have to have a crocodile in front of it.
The Dundee.
Crocodile Dundee Church of
We
Christ.
wrestle gators with our sins.
We'd go to Crocodile Dundee Church of Christ. Got to have some kind of movie reference every Sunday. If you're on Dundee.
That's not an offering. This is an offering.
Well, I can see that. I mean, if you're right there in the same area and it's right along, I don't think that's that big of a deal.
I'm not calling anybody out. I just always curious about that. We when I was in
from North Boulevard, which is in downtown Baton Rouge, to Goodwood, and so it's like miles away.
Right.
So it's not even close. So.
What? I was at Central, and they were planning on it. Central's named Central because it was at that point the central part of Topeka, so that's why they were named the Central Church of Christ. And we were gonna move off of Burlingame. I think it was Burlingame. I don't know anymore. But that's where they were planning to move. They were gonna build a building out there, and I said, you know, if our name is really to let people know where we're at. The Burlingame street that it would be on is such a long street, goes all the way through Topeka. You'd never really know where it is. We should really be across from Budweiser Church of Christ because everyone knows that that's where the Budweiser plant is, and it would be right across the street. So if we were across from Budweiser Church of Christ, everyone would know exactly where you were. It did not go over well. It was not received well. So.
No, it should be, though. One of the deals we looked at planning a church when we were considering places to plant a church in Kansas before we moved. We had like several locations that were there. And there was one guy that brought up this one area. And it was right across the street from a strip club.
Ooh, that would be terrible.
Well, I guess it depends on what your objective is.
I guess.
You know, he was like, this is where we should put it. And we should put this church here. And we could minister to all the people that are coming out of the church on Saturday night and bring them into church on Sunday morning. Like, you know, I
do they not know they go home after that? Like
your heart for that. However, man, I could just hear the comments of the families that are putting it. You had to have a very specific kind of parishioner,
Right.
in order to be kind of in that place, right? So, all this to say, marketing is important. You do want to be known, especially in your community,
Right.
for at the very least being a church. But I want my neighbors, I want the businesses, the schools, even the other churches to know, this is a church that serves their community.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you go to the other side of town, they might not know a whole lot about us. But the question is, how do the people right around that building see? Are we good neighbors? Are we responsible neighbors?
Right.
Do we help that community grow and improve? Are we a pillar there that they know they can count on when something is needed in that area? I think that's the more important aspect of branding and marketing, that sometimes it's easy to kind of look because we're looking at a bigger picture. The other aspect I struggle with is how much of it is like it just feels business oriented.
Right.
And I really wrestle with like how much of our business practices should influence our church practices.
Right.
From structure to budgeting to decision making. I don't know. I feel like it's a icky.
What do you feel? Yeah.
I mean, I go through some of these conversations and I'm like, it doesn't feel right to be having this conversation about church work in this light.
Yeah, I always struggle and I wrestle with that too, especially when we start talking about marketing and branding, because it's like, do I want us to be known for our logo? It's like our logo is pine tree roots right now. I got 3 pine trees and I got our name and I have our theme scripture. That's what's important to me. It's important for me that people understand that our youth ministry is based around roots. It's based around being deeply rooted in Jesus. Does it play off the pine tree part? Sure, because we're the roots of the pine tree here. But like I feel like you can get so wrapped up in your logo that you have to use your logo. You want to throw your logo on something that you forget like that what your original purpose is. Like your original purpose isn't to be trendy. Our original purpose isn't to, be the coolest church on the corner. Our original purpose is really to make disciples. And a disciple is different than just somebody who attends your church, kind of a thing. And so, like, that's where I wrestle with it, because it's like, man, I want to have cool shirts. I want to have cool hats. I want to have cool stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like, does it really matter? What really matters is am I teaching these teenagers about Jesus? Are they making real decisions about their faith life in accordance to what Jesus is calling them to do? That's what's really important. And so, like, that's like, there's a hard balance there. For me, there's a hard balance.
Well, it's a hard balance for me because I like the hats. I like the shirts.
I do too. And if the kids wear them,
the stickers.
But my thing is if people wear them. So if your logo is if they don't love your logo, like, it's okay to change it up and do something a little bit different. Because the whole point is for people to wear it and for people to have them. So we gotta do something that people will actually wear or use. You will never ever see me put a bumper sticker on my car. Ever. I'm just not that person. Like, I don't want stickers on my car ever, anywhere. However, I will put a sticker on my water bottle. Yeah. I will put one on my computer. But you've got to earn. The water bottle is like low tier. Like, I'll put just about any sticker on my water bottle as long as it's not offensive. For it to go on my computer, it's got to be a little bit more high tier. It's got to be something I really enjoy and like. But I guess, like, for me, that's where that balance is. The balance has to be something that gets the point across and has a connection but also it has to be something that people are going to wear too. But the connection is what's the most important to me. The connection is I want people to understand and to know what the objective is. And, the objective of my youth group is to teach them about Jesus and to have them deeply rooted in their faith.
Yeah.
And that's what I want them to get. I don't want them to look at it and go, oh, that's a cool church. Let's go there because they're cool. No, I want them, and some of that is like you have to look kind of good in order to get some people to walk in like that, or at least I have that understanding. Like I get that there's a balance there, but we can be easily overbalanced too. We can be, you can get real protective over logos. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
like you can get real protective over changing an image too, for your church. So it's, it's interesting. I never really, when you step into ministry, you don't really realize how much you're walking on eggshells 90% of the time. That you're really just trying to tiptoe through, because people have some really strong ties. Like my great grandfather created that logo, and it was made out of his brand, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
or so and so's cousin made that. That I get that a lot. Like, oh,
you got to find out where the landmines are buried, right?
I was one of the elders' nephews designed that logo.
Yeah, it is a challenge, and it's, if you want to know how attached people are to something, change it.
Right? Yeah.
And you figure out if this was a big deal or not. And sometimes we are really connected to some of those things. And so I think that demonstrates two things. Number one, I think it demonstrates the power that can have, the unifying effect that something can have, as this ties us all together.
Right.
In a way that other things don't. You see it in stadiums all over the country. And you walk into a football stadium or a baseball stadium, you know who's for you, you know who's against you.
Right.
Because you're wearing the colors, or you're wearing the name, or you're wearing the brand. And, that we can bring that over into church as well. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to find that balance of, yes, we can bring that over, but should that be our focus?
Right.
I'm going to give you something that you can do that kind of ties us together.
Should our branding really be about what you wear or what is in people's heart?
Yeah, because, hey, if you're wearing this, and this is the other thing that I have to remind myself of. Almost every day when I go into the office from the community, I'm wearing a Goodwood Church of Christ shirt, a polo, a pullover, a cap, or something. I got to remind myself I'm wearing that banner in the world.
That's right.
So is the life that I am leading, how is that reflecting on this banner that I'm wearing? If I'm wearing a University of Texas shirt, nobody cares.
Right. Really, nobody cares.
Yeah, really. Nobody, especially not here. Right?
Especially not there.
Arizona Snow Bowl is on my hat right now. What am I doing? How does that reflect on Arizona Snow Bowl? Nobody cares.
Not
but you start putting a church on there and people start going, oh, okay. That's how these church people act.
That's right.
That's how these church people represent.
So that's why I don't like bumper stickers on my car, because I cut people off all the time. And I don't want them to know where I go to church.
Well, here's what I don't suggest. I don't suggest that you go get a car that sticks out, right? Because my little steel metal blue topless 98 TJ Jeep with a Dallas Cowboy spare tire cover sticks out in Baton Rouge.
That's right. You get a Ford Edge, man. There's millions of them.
There's a million of them, right?
You guys blend in.
But I see people all the time. It's like, oh, man, I saw you the other day. And it's like, oh, man, I got to be on my game because everybody recognizes me. Everybody from the church anyway. But, it's this challenge of finding this place where we fit. You talked about, I want to give my kids or my people something that they want to wear. I wrestle with that because, like, the things that I like, almost nobody else likes.
Yeah.
And the things that a lot of other people like, I could take it or leave it.
Right.
And so it is really hard to find that balance. But I want to give them something they're proud of. It's something they'll take out. And, this other aspect of marketing is man, it's so easy to get out of hand. I think like 3 or 4 years ago, there was a church in town that was giving away a 75-inch TV or 72-inch TV on Easter. And all you had to do was
Show up on Sunday.
to worship services on Easter.
What?
And fill out your raffle ticket.
And if your remote worked.
Yeah. And I'm like, at first,
gimmick.
I was like, man, I bet they got a lot of people to show up, for a worship service. And then I was like, yeah, but if that's what brings you there, what's the likelihood that you keep those people that only came for the TV?
Right.
Because we're not giving away a TV next
week. Yeah.
Like if they show up next week and, okay, what's the giveaway this week? And I was like, oh, no, there's just one. I was like, oh, okay. So you got me in on a bait and switch.
That's right.
So, that's the other aspect of it, especially as you deal with, college kids and students. We had this conversation with some of our leaders. They were asking about our campus ministry. I was like, well, what are we after? Are we after numbers? Because I can get you numbers. I just need enough money to pay for games and food every time we get together. Because college kids will show up for free food and free games.
True.
So are we about numbers, or are we about, capturing real opportunities of people that are actually seeking answers to life and religion and Christianity? I'm not.
How many times I tried to win an iPad at OC, and like the churches around who are like, come to this event and win an iPad, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna finally. I still don't have an iPad. I would love an iPad. If anyone ever wants to donate an iPad to me, that would be fine. But yeah, like, man. So like as a college student, like I remember I'd go to any place that didn't matter what it was. If they were giving away an iPad, you got my information, and I was there. I once signed up for a credit card to win an iPad, and my dad got really mad at me. He was like, why did I get this thing in the mail for you to sign up for a credit card?
Credit card companies are the worst.
I was like, dude, I was trying to win an iPad. What do you mean? He's like, well, stop it.
It was free.
Yeah, I think I did it one time to get a free Papa John's pizza. He was also very upset at that one, too. Dad, I wanted pizza, man.
That's right. That's right.
It's a free 2-topping pizza. All I had to do was sign up for this credit card.
The things we didn't realize when we were kids, right? When we were young. I've gotten some of those from Jody because she signed up for something.
I don't know. I'd probably still sign up for a credit card if they were going to give me an iPad.
Yeah, for an iPad, I would.
And then I'd cancel
it.
For
an iPad, I would.
I might even do it for a pizza still. Anyway. I don't know. I don't.
Pizza's pretty good.
I don't know. If it's one of those 31-day months where it's really long till you get paid again, maybe we might be looking at that.
Well, I think bottom line here is it's a struggle, right?
Yeah, it is.
We recognize that it's important for our community to know who we are and to recognize who we are. It's important for our people to be able to have something that identifies them and connects them to the body that they are a part of and they've given their lives toward.
Yeah.
But I think we have to be really careful that we don't fall into the marketing ploys that our culture says are important. Right. And I think it's also important that we remember who we're supposed to be marketing to, and that we
can't allow marketing to replace what we should be doing, disciple making, and living good lives. Like you can't just replace discipleship and evangelism with flyers and stickers.
No, yeah, you're right. And I want them to. So here's the other aspect. So many times we think of what are we calling people to? I think a lot of times we get this impression that we're calling people to church service.
Right.
And that's not what I want to market people towards. I want to drive people towards community life.
Yeah.
So at the end of October, we'll do a trunk or treat. We'll do it on Sunday evening. Last year it worked really well because Halloween fell on a Sunday.
Right.
And we had so much community engagement that night. We had We've grilled hot dogs. We had a chili cook-off. We had games outside. We had all the trunks open in the parking lot on Sunday night and decorated. All the people were kind of dressed up, and we had so many families from the community come through, and a lot of them stayed and talked. We had the Saints game on. They had a Sunday night game that night, and so I had it going on the TV in the corner. And I want to call our community to come see what it's like to live in community of God's people.
Right.
I don't want them to come into a church service that they may or may not understand, that they may or may not connect with. But we can connect to people, and then we can allow those people to steer them toward why we do the thing on Sunday that we do every week. But the important aspect of Christian living is what it means to live in the community of God's people.
Right.
And so I think maybe that's where the balance point lies is what we're calling people towards. Mm-hmm. And let's be really careful that we're not just trying to get him in front of the preacher so he can
evangelize them.
So he can save them with the altar call.
That's right.
Let's call them to community life and show them what it means to be God's people.
Yeah. That's
kind of my behind the beards moment, I guess.
That was a behind the beards moment right there. And you know what? I want to thank y'all for being here today, because I appreciate you. And I appreciate our logo. That was, it's this way. This logo right here. I appreciate our logo. I appreciate the one who put time and effort in putting those together, Lauren and Josh. I appreciate you guys doing that and things like that. But more importantly, over top of that, I appreciate y'all for being here. And we want to remind you of Galatians chapter 6, verse 9. Don't grow weary in doing good. Don't grow weary in doing good things in your community, at your workplace, to your neighbors, to the people around you, even when they're grumpy, cranky, angry, whatever it is. Don't grow weary in doing good, because that's how people see Jesus, is when we do good. And so we got to do that. We got to do something different. We got to allow God to use us to do something good in His name. I am excited to be back for season 4 of Behind the Beards, and we've got some really great things coming up in the future, and we hope that you stick around, that you subscribe and like and comment and review. If you can do reviews on the podcast app, that would be fantastic. Helps more people kind of see us. But I'm Aaron, and this is Josh, and we will see you next week on Behind the Beards.
Till we're all growing a beard. A man's face should never be bare. We just want some facial hair. We're anticipating, yeah, everyone's waiting for a beard.
That's all she wrote.
Yeah, that was good. I needed something a little more light and unstructured today. Enjoyed it.
Light and unstructured is my specialty.